Blessings, peace, love, and light, good people. It's your man Jay Free with the enlightened perspective. As usual, hope everyone is having a wonderful, blessed week thus far. Hope today is going according to plan. And if not, just remember only you have the power to change the things that lie in front of you. Been gone for a few days, so definitely thought necessary to come back and address some of the issues and the things that are going on. Been taking a couple moments to pay attention and observe the atmosphere and the surroundings of the things that are going on around us. I just want to say first off though, I would like to give a shout out to all of the viewers and the subscribers that take the time out to listen and pay attention to what's going on. Your support is greatly appreciated. I mean seriously, because my whole mission or desire is to spread this word of truth. Each one reach one, teach one. I believe that knowledge carries with it a responsibility. You know, as I've said numerous times before, if you have knowledge and information that can help others to get along, then you have a responsibility to share it. I think it's selfish to hoard and hold on to information. There's a lot going on out here around us. A lot of things that oftentimes we don't pay attention to. And my desire is to just try to, spark our critical thinking and to get us to thinking outside of the norm and to not just accept everything as it has been given to us or as we have learned. Perspective is everything. You will always hear me talk about this. This is my cliche, enlightened perspective. I believe that as a man thinketh, so is he. Now that's a scriptural reference, but that kind of sums it up. How you view yourself is usually how life is for you. So despite the appearance, what you believe within yourself usually is what it is. You know the old R. Kelly song, I Believe I Can Fly, or what was that, the little engine that could, I know I can, I know I can, I know I can, I can, as we think, as we believe within our core of who we are, this governs our entire existence. Our entire existence in life is governed by how we view, by how we see, our perspective. Now, perspective is not these two eyes. Perspective is the eye that's hidden on the inside, the one that is connected to the brain. And so how we receive the information that comes through these two eyes is determined by the core nature of who we are in here. Our perspective is developed. Perspective is created. And so what happens is, I got a couple notes, I'm just freestyling. I just wanted to share some information with you. See, everyone has their own reality based on their experiences, their upbringing, their culture, their environment, their family, their influences. Everyone's perception or character is molded by these factors. So we all have our own separate realities. We don't see things necessarily as they are. Instead, we see things as we are. See what I'm saying? So my upbringing, my perspective is developed. You know what I'm saying? As from birth, my perspective is developed. And I only see things based on who I am. Not necessarily based on how they are, but who I am. If you understand what I'm saying. It's just an example I could give, especially when it comes to this perspective, is there's a lot going on around the country right now dealing with race, dealing with civil rights, civil war statues and civil war monuments. Now, there's a majority of people that feel like this shouldn't even be a discussion. We already know what's going on. We understand this evil is connected to hatred, blah, 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 slavery. Now that's a perspective though. See what I'm saying? I'm not, that's a perspective, because within that perspective, there's another perspective that says, it's not hate, it's history, it's heritage. Now, that perspective comes from majority white, of course, but there are black people as well that share the same sentiment. There are black people who believe that the Confederate flag is not hate, but that it is heritage. There are black people who wave the banner of the Confederate flag because of, you know, history, because of genealogical roots with family members and so on and so forth that may have served. Now, before you make a statement, or before you make, give your opinion, that's the whole point that I'm trying to make. It is a perspective. The white person who says it's not hate, the black person who says it's not hate, that's a perspective. The black person who says the Confederate flag is hate, the white person who says the Confederate flag is hate. Those are perspectives. The reason why this is so important that we deal with this is because all of the issues that are going on around us, all of the things that are occurring in our country and our world around us, all of them have to do with perspective, because everything is based on perspective. Everything is based on how we look at the situation, because how we look at it governs how we will react and how we will respond. It governs whether we will get angry, whether we will be happy, whether we will be accepting, whether we will be forgiving, whether we will be loving, kind, empathetic, sympathetic. All of our reactions, responses are governed or dictated by our perspective. You understand what I'm saying? There's a woman that will allow a man to beat her because her perspective is that she is less than, and that she is worthless, and that this is the behavior that she is deserving of. So she will accept that. See what I'm saying? But there's another woman that if you even think about raising your hand, she'll cut it off because her perspective is, I'm not going to accept that. Now, I'm dealing with perspective now because we're not dealing with truth. See what I'm saying? I'm trying to get us to understand perspective, because if we can understand perspective, then we can get to the point where we start talking about absolute truths. Because right now, we believe that our truth is the truth. You see what I'm saying? As individuals, as collective groups, separatists, or whatever the case may be, we all believe that our perspective or our opinion is the truth because it is our truth. You see what I'm saying? Those whites who believe that the Confederate flag is hate, and that it supports slavery, you know what I'm saying? That is their vantage point. So that is the perspective from where they are. So their reactions and responses to want to counter protest against the Klan and want to tear down statues and monuments, all of that is based on their perspective. Their reaction, their response is based on how they're viewing the situation. Now there's another group of white people that are standing in support of the statues and the monuments and the flags, and they're saying no. So I'm using this example not because of race. I'm racist. I'm trying to show us that it is not a matter of color or skin, but that it is a matter of perspective. You understand what I'm saying? It's how we view the situation. And so when we can begin to get a grip and a handle on our perspective and how we view situations, then we can get to the point where we begin to discuss absolute truths, because every situation has an absolute truth. But because we're so bombarded with our own opinions and perspectives, we clash and we're conflicted over perspectives, not truths, perspectives. And the only thing we need to be focused on are truths. We need to get to the place where absolute truth becomes our focus, becomes the thing that we are most concerned about. It's only absolute truth. The society that we exist in and the atmosphere of what's going on around us right now, there's a lot of things that have been hidden or that have been kept down for so long that now they're beginning to come to the surface. And a lot of people are unaware of what's happening. People thinking that, I hear people saying, why they stirring up racism? Our country has come so far. Racism, hasn't even existed. I've heard, and I'm talking about from both sides, black, white, you know what I'm saying, and otherwise, people are saying, we racism doesn't exist anymore. Now, you got these crazy people and they're coming out and they starting trouble. They're stirring it up. They're getting people to start thinking about racism, even though we've come so far from racism. You've got people caught up in so many different scenarios and situations, man. I'm just trying to bring some awareness and some light to it. You know what I'm saying? Because ultimately, the reason we're dealing with what we're dealing with right now is because of our perspective. When I talk about the white supremacy culture or white supremacy racism as a structural system dynamic, I don't own this information. This is Francis Cress Wilson, the ISIS papers. This is Neely Fuller Jr., you know what I'm saying, the compensatory code. This is information, though, that is readily available for all of us. And when we're talking about the system, we're talking about a mentality. We're talking about a perspective that has been developed, and it actually affects everyone. So we call it white supremacy racism, not because every white person just is a Nazi, but because the system itself is predicated upon white sitting at the top and every other shade as you go down to the darkest being at the bottom. And this is the system as it was structured, dealing with our psychology, our mentality, and how we view situations in life. This is where perspective comes from. This is why this is of utmost importance that we begin to understand exactly what perspective is, what perspective represents, because now we can begin to challenge our own perspective. We can challenge our own thoughts. We can challenge the thoughts that have been programmed within us so that we can begin to look with a clearer understanding, a clearer, idea of what's going on, rather than that which has been fed to us. Example, again, school teaches us a particular way of conforming. And so school, for example, says that knowledge only comes from authority. This is a psychological program. I'm giving an example for us to understand. Knowledge only comes from authority. Now, this isn't something that is said, but this is something that is taught unconsciously through our psychology. And how is it taught? It's taught because they put us in the school system 4 or 5 years old. And when we come into the school system, at that point, our mom, our dad, our grandma, whoever it is, they are our authority. They are our hero. You know what I'm saying? And so whatever mom said, whatever dad said, whatever grandma, granddad, whoever is the authority, what they say usually is what it is when we're starting out in the beginning. However, there are some things that grandma or granddad or mom or dad may have taught us that they don't teach in the school. So say, for example, you teach your children that, Christopher Columbus didn't land on Plymouth Rock. That's not true. The story that they told is false, and you show your children some hidden color videos, and you give them some information regarding, ancestral lineage, and give them some information regarding the true history of America and of the Aboriginals that were here when Columbus landed. You know what I'm saying? You give them some truths. And now the child goes to school and the teacher starts teaching Christopher Columbus. And the child say, "Nah, my mama said, my grandmama said." And then the teacher says, "No, well, I'm sorry, little Bobby, but your mom, that was misinformed. This is what it says. And so now Lil Bobby can put his answer on the paper. They're going to give him an F. Or he can put the answer they told him to put on the paper, and he can get an A. So Lil Johnny or Lil Bobby is programmed early on to learn that what mama and them said at home ain't necessarily right, but what the teacher said becomes authority. So now we are programmed that we brought up to where whoever is in a position of authority, we unconsciously believe that they have knowledge or that they have a truth. Example, me right now. Those that don't know me, those that don't pay attention or take time to hear the information that's coming out, don't go back and research it and say he's a fool. I don't know nothing. He's nobody. That's because you've been taught to only listen to people that have position or title as authority. And so if my name had doctor in front of it, and I had all of these credentials, you know, from their system that I could pull out and I could show you and say, hey, yo, I'm doctor, I got this from Harvard, and blah, blah, blah. Then you would unknowingly, even though you don't know me, you would sit there attent and listen to what it is that I'm saying, because society has developed your perspective to say, because he graduated from Harvard, he has to know what he's talking about. But that doesn't necessarily ring true. Just because I graduate from Harvard doesn't mean that I know what I'm talking about. And just because I did not graduate from Harvard does not mean that I don't know what I'm talking about. I hope I'm making sense, because I'm just trying to get us to understand perspective and how it's created and how it's developed. And that's a part of it, is that we believe that authority has knowledge and authority carries truth. So when the teacher says it, when the doctor says it, the professor says it, when the police officer says it, when the judge says it, when the boss at the job says it, when the manager says it, when anyone that has a position of authority says it, then it must be right and it must be true. And we allow what they said to now govern our perspective. Our reaction and our response is now governed by what they said, because they're authority. And this is an unconscious understanding that we develop in regards to perspective. But it's so much deeper, because like I say, I'm just trying to give us a couple pointers to hit on perspective so we can understand, because there is an absolute truth. As I've said before, if they always use the analogy of the 6 and the 9, and they say, you know, one person standing on it is on one side it's a 6 and on the other side it's a 9, and they say just because you see from your perspective that I'm wrong, but from my perspective I'm right. That's not true. I continue to say it all the time. This is why they do this, and this is why we have to understand the importance of perspective. And I can't say it any more clearer than this example, because if you're standing on one side of a 6 and you're standing on the other side and it's a 9, and although we both have two different perspectives of what it is that we are looking at, and yes, from one vantage point it can look like a 6, and yes, from the other vantage point it can look like a 9. However, this is the point. The point is there can only be one absolute truth. And this is where we have to learn to deal with is truth, absolute truth, not opinion based on perspective, because those are what vary and those are what are different. But truth remains a constant. Regardless of what side you're standing on, the 6 or the 9, it can only be one. See what I'm saying? The absolute truth is that it can only be one. It cannot be both. I don't care what logic you try to put on it, or what sense of reasoning. A 6 and a 9 both represent two different numerical factors. They both represent two different amounts. They both represent two different distances. They both represent two different wavelengths. They both represent two different patterns. You understand what I'm saying? And so to say that from your vantage point, just because it looks like a 6 to you and it looks like a 9 to me doesn't mean I'm wrong. No, what it means is that one of us is wrong. It's not a question of we can both be right. We can't both be right. There is an absolute truth. A 6 cannot be a 9, nor can a 9 be a 6. Period. We have to determine what number it is that we're dealing with. Because like I just said, they both represent differently. The same with an M or a W. Yeah, if I'm on this side, it's an M. If I'm on this side, it's a W. Again, they both represent two different characters, two different pronunciations, two different sounds, two different patterns. If you put an M on the front of woman, it doesn't remain woman. You understand what I'm saying? You can't put an M in front of woman and just say, oh, it looked like a W, so it's going. No, it is either a M or a W. You can't put someone, when at the cash register they tell you that your total is $9.36. You can't give them $6.39 and say, oh, I'm covered. Don't worry about it. I gave you 39 cents. That'll cut. No, a 6 is a 6 and a 9 is a 9. We must begin to learn how to identify and how to understand how our perspectives have been molded and shaped so that we can get to the foundation of dealing with absolute truth. If we have any chance of healing, if we have any chance of overcoming where we are now, it is from here. Because the mind is where everything is at. Perspective is everything. How we look, how we view determines everything. I can't emphasize it enough. I hope that I explained it in a way to at least get us to thinking about it. At least to get us to have a different, approach when it comes to receiving new information. You know what I'm saying? It's not that the new information that we're receiving isn't true. It's because we've been programmed and our perspective has been dictated for us that we can't receive the new incoming information because it challenges what we've previously been taught, because our perspective is that. See, we haven't been taught how to critical think. We haven't been taught how to rationalize and how to have an open mind. That's not the way we've been taught. The system's design is to keep us all in a box. That's why the school system and everything is designed the way it's designed. They tell us what to think, how to think, what to feel, how to feel, what to do, how to do, when to do, where to do. All of these things have been dictated to us, for us, by us. You think that you're operating on your own, but you're not. You are literally a slave physically and mentally. You're not operating within your own power. You're not operating from your own thought. I know you think you are. But again, if you would take a moment, pause, and think about it and ask the questions why, you will begin to see clearly. I know plenty of people. How many, even some of you that are listening now, how many of you have got the job that you thought you wanted? Got the car that you thought you wanted? You now live in the neighborhood that you thought you wanted to live in. Some of the things that you thought you wanted. And now that you have them, are you still at peace? Does life make more sense to you now? Is there more understanding now? No. I'll answer for you. And if you say it is, you're lying to yourself. No. Money doesn't give peace. Money doesn't give joy. Money doesn't give life. Money just allows you to operate within the system that they created. And we spend our whole lives actually searching for inner peace because our perspectives are skewed. And because our perspectives are skewed, the things that we value, the things that we find important, the things that we pursue, the things that we desire are really not those things that are beneficial nor necessary to us. But because this is what we've been conditioned and programmed to believe, this is what it is that we desire and that we look after. These are the things we seek for because our perception is skewed. Perception is everything, people. We always trying to make sense of everything going on around the world, but we try to make sense of it based on our understanding. See what I'm saying? See, I believe that I'm supposed to go to school, get a degree, then get a job, and work that job and be a good boy for my boss, you know. And because this is my perspective now, if somebody else comes and say, man, you stupid, why you working that job, man? You a slave to the system. Now my defense goes up. Oh man, you stupid. You out here broke, bro. Look, you ain't got nothing. You ain't got this. And that's because of perspective. You think that you are accomplishing and achieving within their system because that is the perspective that they gave. And then you look at the other brother and say, look at this boy. He out here, he broke, he's struggling. But he probably got his own little garden in the backyard and got everything he needs. And he way more at peace than you are. You go to work every day, come home stressed out, mad, frustrated, cussing out your kids, your spouse, dealing with all these issues because you don't really want to go do the job, but you think that that's what you have to do because of perspective. And then you looking at him saying he a bum because he don't drive the car you drive and he don't rock the clothes you rock, you know what I'm saying? But guess what? That gentleman got a roof over his head, he got food in his belly, clothes on his back, he got everything that's necessary. But more importantly, while you think you jamming with all of your luxury, he got peace, he got love, and you continuing to try and find it by acquiring and achieving. And then those that are around you will be around you because of what you got, because they just as lost as you are. Perspective is everything, people. And until we can understand that, then we can begin to look at things from a different vantage point and a different view. And this is why what's going on in the world around us is happening right now because of our perspective. It's how we're looking at it. It's how we view it. Even now, we are on the brink of disaster and chaos. And most people just flipping on the channel trying to see what's going on with power, checking out love and hip hop, you know, whatever the latest or newest, you know, trending news is. That's what we're concerned about. It don't matter that they talking about bombing. It doesn't matter that just last night Trump again issued, you know, talking about more troops to Afghanistan. It don't matter North Korea, China, Russia. It don't matter what's going on in Syria. It don't matter that people are threatening civil war. It doesn't matter that we're rioting, police are killing. It doesn't matter because I'm desensitized to it. And my perspective is it's all good. It's okay. We gotta wake up, we gotta think. We gotta change our perspectives. We gotta raise our level of thinking. We have to elevate. This your man, Jeffrey, man. As usual, just trying to share some of this information. Again, I hope something that I said was useful. If you like it, please click a like button. If you're not a subscriber and you're listening, please subscribe. There are more videos, more information. As always, please leave comments in the box below so that I can respond, I can react. Any suggestions of anything that you want me to talk about, any issues that you want me to go in and do some research on and answer some questions on anything, just feel free. I'm here for you people. I love you guys. All I do is just stay in these books. All I'm doing is trying to get this information and try to open our minds up so that we can see clear what's going on. And it starts with our perspective. It starts with our understanding. It starts with how we look at the situation from the very beginning. It's your man, Jeffrey. I love y'all always. Blessings, peace, love, and light.